All right, so today we're going to talk about, we're going to continue on with our form that we started, and we're going to talk about how we can retain some of this information so that we can redisplay the form if an error happens and not force the user to resubmit everything, retype everything. I hate forms that don't allow what I call stickiness. So we want to be able to redisplay this information and redisplay the form. So one of the first things is, in order to do that, I have to change this input tag. I have to have a value attribute for my input tag, right? The value is what gets displayed in the form when the form comes up. So let's just change it to Dave Jones here. I'll hard code it, reload my page. I'm going to have to take that detail out. And it auto-fills in that data. So what I need to do is make that data a variable. I need to get the data from the form processing and stuff it back into this area as a variable instead. So I need to have that variable. What is the variable that I'm currently storing that information in? All right, so I have it as first name. So instead of Dave Jones, I should put first name. So what is wrong with that? Let's see what happens. It puts in $ first name, right? That doesn't make sense because I'm outside of the PHP block here. I'm into just normal HTML block. So I really want to, I could do this, PHP echo first name, close PHP, and see what happens here. And push Dave and then ask a question. Now it will post Dave to the form, fill in my first name, and now Dave is sticky. But that's really ugly because I'd have to do that for every single field, and that starts to become a lot of text and a lot of problems, all right? So that's a bad way to do that. The better way is to display this form as an HTML, as a PHP string. And the string will automatically fill in these variables for me appropriately. But I don't want to lose the formatting that I have of this nice form, right? I've already typed the form in. So there's another way to do that, and I'm going to go find that for you. It's PHP Heredoc is what it's called. H-E-R-E-doc. And the first one that comes up, it's a string method. A string way of getting data of multi-lines. All right, so the Heredoc syntax, if we click on this, lets us have multiple lines. So this is an example here. This is the beginning of the string, and it says take from this point all the way until you find an equivalent EOD on the first of the line, which happens to be down here. All right? So this is, all of these lines are going to be stuffed into the variable called string. Everybody see that? So this is the Heredoc syntax. This part followed by an EOD. Now, this string, the EOD here and the EOD have to be the same. You can call them whatever they want, whatever you want. It's just a variable name. It's a symbol name that delineates the end of that string. Okay, I'm done with creating a multi-line string. Yes? Can I just quote it? You can, but then the problem is proper HTML likes double-quoted strings here. So if I put this all and I say $form equals quote and put a quote here, then the problem is all of these have to be escaped. Or change them to single quotes. Or do a lot of stuff that's not standard HTML. So, yeah, you can do that, but I don't like it. Yeah, you don't have to do that. So this also treats this like a double quoted string. End of form. All right, so I can have any variable name that I want, any symbol name, and I'm going to put that, and notice how I've taken away the ending PHP and the starting PHP, so this is all inside the PHP block now. This is all PHP. So I need to have my end of form here. Now this ends up being a multi-line double quoted string. So inside of here I no longer have to do a escaping this, and it knows, since it's a double quoted string, it will figure out that this is a variable and put the value in there for me. Isn't that nice? I think that's pretty cool.
Cause me issues if you had like $5 with a $sign in front of it, like for whatever reason.
Yeah, if you had like $5.
Yeah.
Yes. Or $5.
Whatever reason.
This thinks it's a variable name, which is undefined, so it would end up being a blank string. So if we have a $sign inside of a string, we have to escape it. That's one of those special characters. We would put a slash before it. Okay, good question.
I know writing $5 would be.
Yeah, it wouldn't be very.
The only example I can think
But it's a possibility. Sometimes you need to escape the $sign. All right. So let's see if this works. There is one thing wrong with this, and we'll show you right away.
you don't have a semicolon after it.
All right, so I got a couple of problems. Line 29. So I look at my right-click, show line numbers 29. It says syntax error, unexpected T require. Pardon me?
That's fine.
The problem is that I don't have a semicolon here. All right, so that ends that statement. That's one statement. But the end of form, again, has to be on the beginning of the line, the first character of that line. So this is very similar to Ruby. Ruby has that same syntax, or similar syntax. Yes, that's the next problem. So if I fix that, I don't get anything. That whole detail block didn't happen. All I did was assign it to a variable. I didn't do anything with the variable, so it went off to oblivion. Right? So I'd have to actually echo this variable out for it to show up on the screen. There we go. So if I say Ryan and look at my detail, now it has Ryan. All right, so it's become sticky. The variable gets auto-filled with my value inside of this form field, and everything's happy. Now, another way of doing this, since this is just a statement, all this does is print out an entire string. All that does is create a double-quoted string, multi-line, right? So I don't have to assign it to a variable unless I want to do something with that variable. I could instead just echo that out and not echo the variable itself. Same thing. All right? So this is, you can just think of this as one big old huge long honking string that's double quoted. So I can do some expressions in there and things like that. All right, isn't that cool? Nice. So let's start adding some more field forms, form fields. Any questions on what we've done so far? All right. So we know how to do an input text box. Let's do, I really don't want to do your entire assignment for you. And I always end up doing that for some reason. So, I know, because I'm nice. I don't know, that just doesn't fit. Let's do a text area. What is the form for a text area? Text area, okay. So we call it text area. And we need a name for that because the name is required to get it out of the PHP post array. Remember my associative array up here? That name attribute is what I use to get the data out. because it's below my submit.
No, just type asking people text area. You can't just type text area. That's just.
You sure? Because it's a special, well, let's look it up.
I thought it worked the exact same as the text box.
Form text area.
Text area doesn't have a value.
Look at that. Interesting, huh? So there you go. That's what I want to hear. All right, so text area needs to have a name, which is a double quoted something, and we'll call it question. I just can't think of anything else. And this one has an ending. This is one of those special input boxes. They're different than normal. And the value goes inside of these two tags. So the value would be whatever they're going to type. So this is a question. So let's put my submit box below that just because that's better. Come on. All right, so here's my text area. And let's put a break tag here just so it looks a little nicer. And I'm going to take away this detail because I'm tired of opening it up again all the time. I love that tag, though. It's pretty cool. All right, so now I have a text box. It says enter your first name, Ryan, and then this is a question. Now, typically in a form, we might want to say, what do they want to type in here, right? So we might have a label or just some text up here. Please enter your question here. And so that says, please enter your question. And this is the value portion of the text area input box. And the new fancy browsers have this resizable box, which is kind of cool. And you can type whatever you want in here. And when you post that to the form, where does that go? Nowhere right now, but it actually gets stored in what array then? In the post array. So in order to get that out and utilize it in some fashion, I have to retrieve it from that array, right? So how would I do that? I need a variable to stuff that into. So I'm going to call it question. And I'm going to do the same style that I did here. What do I use for the index into that array? The name of my text area, which was question. Okay, good. Question. So if it's set, if I have something, I'm going to store the value from that. This is just to eliminate all those warnings that I have. All right, so now question has whatever they posted from that text area as what type of data? What type of data is a string? Okay, good. So how could I change this now to, instead of being this hard-coded, this is a question, to be the sticky value that I retrieve from the array? Question. All right? Everybody see that? So I got the data out of the array if it was there. And if it was there, I'm stuffing it into my question variable. And then I'm using that question variable to stuff it into this. If it's not set, what is this going to display? Nothing, which is fine. That's a way to start the page. So let's say, what is that picture? We ask a question, and there you go. It's not sticky yet. I think because I didn't reload the page. Nope, I have a problem here. Typo in word text area. I don't see the problem yet. Question?
Taking the value from the submit button.
Ah, why is that?
Because you put the name of the submit button.
Very good. Good shot. So this name, the submit button, they can't be the same name because they will be overwritten in the array. So that's why it's always coming up as the ask a question value. So this is going to be submit. All right, we'll just change it to submit. All right, so now we can say, what is that picture? There we go. Now we're sticky. All right, that's a good, I did that on purpose to show you what happens when you have the two names like that. All right, so you see how we can start to build up our form and to let it be sticky. All right, so any questions on what we have so far? Yes, sir.
The if is set, you have to do that for every single one. It seems a bit redundant.
It does seem very redundant, but yes. If you don't, you cannot, you don't have to check this is set if you don't care about those notices. And in a production site, you would take out all of those warnings in our header. We would probably remove this and display errors would be 0 perhaps, because we don't want those to blow up on their website for them. And that cleans up a lot of things that you might have missed. I do it because it's a cleaner way of programming, just make sure that everything has a value. It is quite redundant though, yeah. All right. Any other questions? Radio buttons. No, we're gonna do a required field now. All right. So let's say that this first name is required for their field to happen. So we want to display an error if they don't put that in. If somehow that value is not there, we want to display an error. All right. So let's create a little error box. And then later on, we'll move this into a